Hi, I'm Dr. Saira.
And I'm Texas Beck.
And
Today,
we're pretty
yeah,
tired today.
yeah, we're a little
We're
bit,
just going to be upfront about
yeah,
that. It's been a long few days,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's been a bit. We had an event last weekend on Saturday, which you guys can check out. It's coming.
Can they?
It's going to be available somehow.
Maybe. You might be able to check it out.
Doesn't matter.
Even if you don't, we'll tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah.
What you will be able to check out, though, is the book. We're going to
Right.
keep plugging it because
Yeah.
we are so freaking excited. June 28th. Mark it on your calendar so you can buy the book that Monique Peck has written called The How, which explains all of what we do at the Expansion Project and the whole philosophy that we're teaching here.
And the
on
science and all of the stuff, right?
Yeah, all the stuff that we don't get to because we're too busy interrupting each other.
Yeah, that's true.
And talking.
I'm a pretty good listener.
I'm a pretty good talker, so
Yeah,
it's a great team.
Great team, yeah.
Great team.
But one of the things that we thought we'd talk to you about today is the process that we go through, because we aren't teaching something that we're not trying to live. So, something's fallen. Oh well. So our process right up to the event where we're presenting on stage was a unique experience, I think, for both of us in this. And then so we talk a lot about staying in alignment, and that's great if it's just
as a concept.
As a concept, and it's also not that. It's a lot easier to just do that if it's just me.
If it's just one person.
Yeah. So
right.
I'm coming into. So we talk about this a lot with in advanced consciousness training. Is that the therapist or the person sitting is got to start out being in alignment
for themselves. Right.
But when there's multiple people and we're hosting an event and our heart is to bring through that balanced energy in the midst of it, then we have to be in alignment, and then we have to be in alignment
here.
Yeah, here, right? And so it was a whole process.
It was
right up till within 20 minutes of this, and then all the way through it. But
all the way through. So some of the things that we did that might be a bit different for you to do if you're stepping up on stage for a 70-person workshop is we went for a walk.
Yeah.
Spontaneously.
And didn't talk about what was going to happen.
No, we just kind of wandered and meandered.
To be clear, we didn't go for a walk while the workshop was going on. Just
to
be clear.
Yeah,
before.
While everybody was kind of running around. So both Texas and I are logistics people. Like we've both done that you a lot more than me, right? In your career in the past.
Yeah.
And so the details, right? Like are the right mics on, and is the sound okay? And for me it was like visually, is the space welcoming, and the things that we've always thought about and had to do ourselves before, we now had a team to do them. But it actually took
quite a bit of
like restraint.
Yeah. Well, we just
to not get involved in those spaces and actually say, you know what? Other people are managing this. We don't need to be part of these conversations.
And to trust that.
To trust our team, to trust that it was going to be exactly perfect, even if it wasn't our way.
Yeah. And it was probably much better than our way.
Oh, probably way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was what we have a great team, right? We had a great team, have a great team. And but
that controlling behavior is adaptation. So we've talked in other videos about adaptations, right? So adaptations are the things that we develop over, from when we're really young to manage this feeling of unsafety. Right. And so we create all these behaviors, or we develop all these behaviors, and then we start walking in the world in a certain way. And at some point, for many of us, we realize like the life that we've created isn't fulfilling us the way we want it to. And so that's when we sometimes come face to face with our adaptation.
So those two things happen at the same time. We talk about this a lot. So we talk about that when we're in our adaptations, we're kind of in this closed space. And then we want to move from that to a more open space. Those things happen at the same time, or one can't happen without the other happening.
Okay, can you say more about that?
Yeah, so we know that in this linear intellectual mind, it has a lot of limitations.
Yeah, because the mind is based on whatever came before.
Right.
That's how it's designed. It's like you learn, you have an experience, and you have another experience, and that reinforces, and we let go of all the outliers, and we say, okay, this is what normal for me is going to be.
Right. And so what we're saying is, if we can get out of that space, we are in a different place, right? And we know that we've all had that. We talk about this, and we'll just touch on it again. When we're in that flow state, if you're an artist and you're just kind of like, all of a sudden you've created something, you're like, wow, where did that come from? Or a musician or somebody who's an athlete who's done their very, like, way beyond what they know they can do.
Or even just regular folks who are sitting and having a coffee with your friend, and hours just go by, and it feels like you feel so full and fulfilled, and you don't even know where the time went. Right? It doesn't have to only happen for like in a talent space. No. Right? It happens for all of us, and it's happened for all of us. And we're saying that actually that's how we were designed, to live that way regularly. Modern cultures have made it hard to live that way regularly, because a lot of what we're doing is bracing against perceived danger.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So for us, going on stage together, it presented an opportunity for us to grow. So our framework, there's what we call the four. So that's Saira and her husband, Faizan, and Monique is my wife. And so when we were sitting, it was like, could we frame this as what are we going to learn in this?
The four of us.
The four of us. So rather than us coming to teach something, we had that idea, what about if we flip the script on that? Mm-hmm. And I could see this as an opportunity for me to learn and grow. Well, that is a bit different, right? And then that puts me in a kind of in my mental, it kind of puts me in a vulnerable place, because now I have to stay open.
And receive.
So we were probably actually 31 minutes into our presentation, and Saira went totally off script, but she was following her intuitive knowing, and you invited 4 people up on stage. And when you invited the 4 people up, you had no idea why.
I had no idea why. So I was just shown, like, invite 4 people up on stage. So I did. And
then she looked at me and said, and I went,
yeah.
This is your deal.
You're like, I don't know. And
I'm here to support you, but.
And so I had to kind of stand there in this awkward. Yeah, awkward. It wasn't really that uncomfortable, because we've been practicing it, right? But I mean, if that was the first time I'd ever done that, it would have been.
Right. And this is a new way. You presented a lot of things, a lot of places.
Right. But to do it this way, in front of a group of this size, and being like professionally videographers are there, photographers are there. And it's kind of like, well, I'm not sure yet. And I had to just wait until it was clear, until the guidance was given to me, until that intuitive voice was heard. And that's actually what we want to talk about today, is listening, being comfortable with the waiting part of this whole thing, right? Because the information doesn't necessarily come instantly when you're wanting it. Sometimes there's a waiting period.
Well, I think what you just said is key to what you just said. When you want it,
then it won't come.
Yeah, because you have a need that's not in that trusting.
Right, we're wanting it usually from a contracted state.
If we finish that sentence, we would say, "Well, I want this because I think that this will be better," right? Or we have an attachment to it. So when we can kind of let that go, and we can just where you were on the stage that day, it was just like, "Okay, I'm here."
Yeah, and it was, and everybody waited.
Yeah,
and I waited, and everybody else waited. And then I got some instructions. So it was like, okay. And so I invited the audience to do something, and the 4 people on stage to do something. And then I had nothing after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I waited.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was really fascinating from a group process perspective is then Texas got the next piece. And this is an experience that we had the first time we taught our practitioner training, where I would get a piece, and then Texas would get the next piece, and then I would get a piece, and we were kind of riffing off each other. But we've spent months and months and years now building that trust with each other.
And it's
to just be like, okay, well, one of us is going to, like, somebody on the stage, hopefully one of us is going to get the piece. And again, the reason that we were bringing it up is this is a very different way of working with people than anything I've ever been taught, right? Because what we're inviting practitioners to do is really trust that you will be shown what's the next thing. And sometimes that can feel a little structureless or a little, but that's not it, right? There are some principles, there is a framework, there is a foundation that we're working within, but within that space,
we have things like the presence protocol that
like very structured tools.
We actually really want a good structure. We're not, but inside that good structure, then there's the freedom to move. It almost sounds when you explain it like the two things are clashing, but they actually mesh.
And it actually links right back to one of our spiritual axioms. So in advanced consciousness therapy, we have 10 spiritual axioms, and these are things that are unequivocally true. Is that a word? I don't know. They're like they're tenets, right?
Yeah.
That are we either accept them or we don't. And one of the tenets that we accept is there is a rhythm to doing and being. There's a rhythm to doing and being. So there's a time for like action and structure and order and the container. And then there's also flexibility and fluidity and spontaneity and creativity that come, but both of them work together, right? So it doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to either be like fully, scripted to the minute or just a free flow.
Right. No.
It doesn't have to be either of those extremes. There's a rhythm to blending both of those.
Yeah. And it was a really powerful experience for the folks that were there. And for us, we learned a lot because we're talking to you guys about what we learned.
Mm-hmm.
So we can see that the first thing that we asked for, we got.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what would you say you really learned from this, Texas?
Every time we do, so this is another thing, but I'll get to what you said, but every time we do something, it goes to a different level. You know what I mean? We can know something at this level, and then we can know something at a deeper level. And when we step into that and we trust that, it goes to a deeper level. Mm-hmm. So what I learned is in that moment of trust, that's where the energy flowed into the room. Mm. And so when you're standing watching 70 people or whatever's there, and I was going to say feel, but it's not. And you can see that energy in the room and the change and the openness start to happen. Mm. There's a reason that happens, right? There's a reason why that opened. We've created safety by being vulnerable ourselves. We've created an opening because we don't have the answer, right? We're not the answer, and we know that. We talked about that openly. That's like the answers are within each person. Mm-hmm. Once we step out of this place. So what we were doing is first we have to step out of that place. Right. We allowed for that. So as we move forward and as we do more and more of these things, I'm really excited to watch that open and expand more and more and more as we trust it more and more and more. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right. And
what you said earlier, right? Most workshop leaders, facilitators, I've never seen a duo.
Yeah.
Right. So to see two. Like you'll have your one leader or the kind of the face of the group or the face of the movement, but to have two is different, and to have two with such different backgrounds and perspectives and life histories.
Yeah, and it really is and we're trying to let you in a little bit behind the scenes. We know that we can't do this. We can't. In our if there's any of this, right. Yeah. If there's any of myself in here, this isn't going to work. And so it's really helped us to amplify the work. Right.
That's the right word, amplify.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, as I said that you don't see two. I have seen couples, like I've seen couples lead, like who are married or whatever, but we don't have that.
No.
Right?
No.
We
have it, but not with each other.
Not with each other. But we have, what's really neat about our dynamic is that we have our spouses who fully support this work behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's
right.
Really unique.
So it's like four of us, though you only see two of us up on the stage. Really, it's the four of us that are bringing this new model, and it's so it's taken for the four of us like a lot of micro adjustments regularly.
So when you say that, you're saying coming back
into flow on a regular basis in the little moments, right? Not in the big thing where I really notice I'm off. No, in the little things of like, I'm really hungry. What is it that I'm going to eat? And then stopping and listening. Oh, I got kind of thrown off by that text. Interesting. Let me release that.
Right.
Like just in the little everyday moments, coming back. So we call that micro adjustments.
And so what did you learn? See, she thought she was going to slide that one by me.
Oh, what I learned
many things
is that my tears are a superpower.
Oh God.
So there was a moment where I shared a personal story that was really And it had just like a personal story of something that had just happened that morning, right?
Yeah, like 20 minutes before we went on.
Yeah, and something that had kind of like got under my skin and I couldn't figure it out, and we worked it through. And I shared that story on the stage, and it brought up all this emotion for me. And I saw how that emotion, that like really honest emotion, really touched people. Right. And
there's science behind that, because you're stepping into your
authenticity,
and that is a really high vibrational, and it's measurable. This is not just
there's a video I was watching the other day about the electromagnetic field, right? And how they were measuring different emotional states, so love, forgiveness, gratitude as emotion. So they'll have people in this this kind of
controlled environment.
It's kind of a room that's measuring, like not even a room, but kind of a box that's measuring their electromagnetic field, and they're having them talk about things that evoke the emotions of love, right. And they can like look at your brain, right, and see where your brain lights up in certain places, and they're watching to see their electromagnetic field and how it's impacting the measurement tools. And so they thought, well, probably love has the strongest frequency. That was the hypothesis. But every so often there'd be these other really big bursts. Way bigger bursts of like that would happen from the person. But it wasn't kind of tied to a particular emotion. It was all over the place from an emotional perspective. Right. And so then the researchers had to start asking a different question, like, what is that?
What are we looking at?
What are we looking at?
Right.
And what they realized is when those really big surges of energetic information were being emanated from the subjects, it's because those people were in a state of authenticity.
Yeah.
So whether they were sad or angry or happy or whatever the emotional state was less important than the authenticity, the realness of that moment. And so we can feel that in each other. When somebody's being really real, we can actually sense that, like, in our bodies.
And so when we come into that state of alignment, as we call it, we're shedding a lot of the things that we even thought were real about ourselves. And this is going to be a private joke. And we're liberating that energy into something far more powerful and far more constructive.
Right. The reason Texas said it's a private joke, we've been looking for the right word to explain this.
Yeah.
And then it came in the middle of a very serious conversation with other people there, and we're like, oh, liberate, that's the word, liberate. But that's because the energy is trapped, right? This energy is trapped in our tightness, in our adaptations, in our, our negative mood, or our ruminating thoughts, or like, our old behaviors. It's kind of trapped. And when we get aligned, when we open up, when we get back to who we really are, that energy is then liberated and can be like used in such a different way.
So that's our encouragement to people who are looking at this modality, is that you can bring that energy into your sessions. You can bring that energy into your life. You can bring it into every part of your life.
And that authenticity, and that there's a way, like a predictable path to do that. It's so I used to think authenticity, like when somebody said, okay, who are you at your most authentic self? I would see myself like reading a book in my living room. Okay. But I can't just be reading a book in my living room my whole life.
That's what we've been telling you.
Right? That's come out of the living room, right? Because, and so it's like authenticity to me, I had connected it to a behavior.
Yes.
And what I was really trying to get to was the state I was experiencing while I was engaging in that behavior. So we're saying to practitioners, you can have that state in any context that you're interacting with. A person, on your own, in a crowd, on stage, at a conference where you're presenting something.
With your spouse, with your partner, all of those places.
You can, for me, it'd be that curled up and reading a good book feeling in any context.
Right. Interesting, I would say.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about this. And the thing that you touched on is it's predictable.
It's predictable, and it's repeatable.
And you guys are seeing snippets of us talking about a big concepts, but again, coming back to the book, The How, really helps to frame this. And then, of course, the Advanced Consciousness Training is, it's a 15-week course.
Yeah. So if you're interested if you've been watching these videos and you're like, what is Advanced Consciousness Therapy? I'm kind of curious about that. There's an information session on June 26th. There's more details about that on our website. So June 26th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. It's an hour. It's a webinar. We'll be on there answering
Live,
questions live. And then the other big date for you to mark in your calendar, as you mentioned at the beginning of this video, is June 28th, which is the launch date of our book, The How. And we want people to purchase it on that day because that helps the algorithms. So please put in your calendar, put a reminder in your phone.
Right.
Buy the book on the 28th if at all it's interesting to you.
Yeah. And watch for more, because one of the things that we were showing was we want to be doing more of these live interactive seminars, workshops. And if you're interested in saying, hey, wonder what that would look like, let us know. We'd love to come
to your town.
Yeah, come to your city.
Come to your city.
Yeah, because it's ready. We're ready to go.
So thanks for listening. Like and subscribe so you know when the next video is coming out.
Send a question.
Send a question. Write a comment. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks a lot. See you later.